Officer Jack Roberts arrests Marcus Williams, a black millionaire entrepreneur, right outside a luxury hotel, accusing him of trespassing. But just minutes later, Marcus launches an unexpected counterattack that shakes Officer Jack's world. How far will Marcus go to hold the entire police department accountable? Before we dive into the story, leave a comment about where you're watching from. And if you enjoy the story, don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Marcus Williams, a successful businessman and black millionaire, is on a mission to accomplish his life's biggest project, an initiative to bring affordable housing and safe parks to underprivileged families in the city. That morning, he and his young daughter, Ellie, arrive at a luxury hotel to meet with key investors to discuss the next steps in the project. On their way to the hotel, Ellie is snacking on food Marcus prepared for her. While playing around, Ellie accidentally spills her food on her father's shirt, leaving a large stain. Realizing he can't go into the meeting with a stained shirt, Marcus decides to take it off to keep himself looking as presentable as possible while waiting for his assistant, Rachel, to bring a clean shirt. Standing shirtless in the hotel parking lot, Marcus tries to maintain a confident demeanor and comforts his daughter, who feels apologetic for the mishap. At this moment, Officer Jack Roberts, on patrol around the hotel, notices Marcus from a distance. Seeing a shirtless black man in the upscale hotel area, Jack immediately feels suspicious. His biased and conservative thinking leads him to quickly conclude that Marcus is engaging in unusual or suspicious behavior. Without hesitation, Jack approaches with a stern gaze, and his hand resting on his belt where his handcuffs are. "Hey, you there," he calls out, his voice cold and commanding. "What are you doing here?" Marcus turns around, surprised, holding his daughter's hand to reassure her. Although he doesn't yet understand why the police are approaching him, he calmly responds, "Good morning, officer. I'm just waiting here for a moment. I have a meeting with investors here, and my assistant is bringing me a clean shirt." Jack Roberts eyes Marcus up and down, openly showing his suspicion. "A meeting? Dressed like this?" he says with a mocking tone. "Show me your ID." Marcus feels uncomfortable, but remains calm, not wanting to frighten his daughter. Gently asking Ellie to stay still, he reaches into his pocket for his wallet. But immediately Jack shouts, "Hands up! Don't move!" Jack's hand is now on his gun, his face filled with determination, giving Marcus no chance to explain further. Passers-by begin to take notice with curious eyes turning towards them. Ellie, now scared, grips her father's hand tightly, her wide eyes full of worry. Marcus knows he must stay calm, not only for himself, but also for Ellie, who is beginning to understand that her father is in serious trouble. Once more, Marcus tries, his voice gentle but firm. "Officer, there's no need to escalate this. I'm just here waiting for my assistant to bring my shirt so I can go into my meeting." But to Jack, this only deepens his suspicion that Marcus is up to something unlawful. Without waiting for further explanation, Jack orders Marcus to turn around and place his hands behind his back. "You're under arrest for suspicious behavior and possible trespassing," Jack declares. Marcus, stunned and disappointed, realizes he has no chance to explain. With his hands cuffed and his daughter's horrified eyes watching him, Marcus is led toward the patrol car. Under the gaze of onlookers, Ellie cries, trying to run after her father, only to be held back by nearby adults to keep her safe. Amid whispers and the shocked gazes of bystanders, Marcus closes his eyes, feeling a deep sense of shame and helplessness. A gnawing pain fills him, not just the sting of personal injustice, but the anguish of his daughter witnessing such a scene. As Marcus is led toward the patrol car, another vehicle suddenly pulls up nearby. From it, Rachel, Marcus's assistant, hurries out, holding the clean shirt he had asked her to bring. Upon seeing Marcus handcuffed, Rachel freezes, her eyes wide with shock. She quickly regains her composure and calls Adam, Marcus's lawyer, to alert him to the situation. Shortly after, Adam arrives at the scene, his expression serious and determined. Rachel hurries up to Officer Jack Roberts, attempting to explain, "Officer, there's been a mistake here. This is Mr. Marcus Williams, a well-known businessman, and he was just waiting for me to bring his shirt so he could attend an investor meeting." Jack, with a stern and annoyed expression, holds firm. "We're handling this by the book. This man is acting suspiciously, and I have every reason to believe he has no right to be here," Jack coldly replies, unmoved by Rachel's explanation. Adam, now closer, intervenes calmly but firmly. I'm Adam Green, Mr. Williams's lawyer. You've misunderstood and your actions may seriously violate my client's rights. I suggest you confirm his information with the hotel before proceeding. But Jack doesn't change his stance, only growing more tense. Unable to explain further, Adam turns to Mr. Franklin, the hotel manager, who is now stepping out from the lobby. Mr. Franklin's face shows clear alarm as he sees Marcus in this situation. He quickly approaches Jack and says, "Officer, there's likely been a misunderstanding. This is Mr. Marcus Williams, a VIP guest and respected businessman. He's here for a meeting with us." Looking around at the many curious onlookers, several of whom are holding up phones to record, Jack begins to feel a bit uneasy. Finally, he reluctantly unlocks Marcus's handcuffs, stating stiffly, "It seems there's been a misunderstanding, but we still need to review our procedures and security." Marcus rubs his red wrists, his gaze coldly fixed on Jack. The feeling of humiliation in front of his daughter and the community makes his heart ache. Rachel steps up to help him put on the shirt while Adam stands nearby, advising him to stay calm. However, for Marcus, this incident had gone beyond a misunderstanding. He looked at his daughter, her eyes still red and her face tear-streaked, realizing this wouldn't be the last time he would have to confront this kind of prejudice. This incident wasn't just a personal pain, but a symptom of a much larger social issue, and Marcus decided he would stand up to face it. He turned to face Jack, his voice calm but laced with deep hurt. "You call this a misunderstanding? Do you really think your behavior was justified?" His words left Jack silent, unable to meet Marcus's gaze. As the crowd began to disperse, Marcus took a deep breath to steady himself, but he knew one thing: this wouldn't end here. Rachel and Adam stood beside him, exchanging looks of understanding, knowing that this could mark the beginning of a long fight for justice. After leaving the scene, they immediately called a few friends in the media. Within hours, video of Marcus's arrest was spreading across social media, with thousands of shares and outraged comments. People watched as Marcus, a well-known businessman, was handcuffed in front of his young daughter over a misunderstanding. The incident quickly attracted public attention. The media jumped on the story with sensational headlines like "Black businessman wrongfully arrested at luxury hotel" and "Racial bias exposed in arrest of millionaire Marcus Williams." Footage of Marcus in handcuffs and Ellie's terrified face appeared on the front pages of major news outlets and spread rapidly on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thousands of people expressed outrage and empathy, with many sharing their own experiences of discrimination. At the police department, the issue didn't go ignored. Pressure from the media and the public forced Police Chief Elena Martinez to review Jack Roberts' actions. An emergency meeting was held, and after reviewing the video and reading the public's harsh criticism, Chief Martinez decided to suspend Jack. She couldn't ignore the wave of criticism and the consequences of Jack's actions. The initial humiliation Marcus felt began to shift into anger and a determination to act. Messages of support from friends, colleagues, and even strangers further strengthened his resolve. Under Ellie's innocent gaze, Marcus realized he needed to do something, not only to protect his daughter, but also to change this unjust system. He saw that this wasn't just his problem, but the story of many others without the voice or financial strength to stand up like he could. "We can't let this die down and become a forgotten story," Marcus told Adam and Rachel in a private meeting after the incident. "I want to fight for justice, not just for me, but for everyone who has suffered from this kind of discrimination." Adam nodded in agreement. "Then we need a powerful plan, Marcus. This is the time to use your financial strength as leverage and demand change from the city government." Rachel, who had been thinking carefully, suggested, "Marcus, if you really want to make a difference, maybe you should consider pulling your investments out of projects in the city. Only when they lose major funding will the city and police realize the gravity of the issue and consider reform." Marcus thought for a moment and nodded, feeling more determined. "Yes, Rachel, if that's the only way they'll listen, then so be it. But we won't just demand an apology. We need a commitment to reform, cultural sensitivity training, and community oversight of police behavior." Marcus's plan was set. This was no longer just a story about one person's mistreatment. He decided to channel his anger into a movement to seek justice for the vulnerable and create a better society. The fight Marcus was about to face might be long and challenging, but with financial power, perseverance, and influence, Marcus was prepared to face everything to protect not only his rights, but also those of everyone in the community, especially the vulnerable, like his own daughter Ellie. Shortly after announcing his decision to withdraw investments, Marcus and his advisory team got to work. Rachel reached out to other investors, while Adam prepared a formal statement and a list of specific reform demands to present to city officials. The announcement of Marcus's multi-million-dollar divestment shocked the entire city. Local newspapers and TV channels rushed to cover the story, emphasizing Marcus's determination to withdraw from infrastructure and public projects he had supported for years. Major headlines appeared everywhere, from Marcus Williams pulls investments, demands police reform, to city faces financial crisis as major investor withdraws funds. Marcus's powerful move quickly caught the attention of both the city government and the business community. At City Hall, tensions were high. Officials who had relied on Marcus's funding for redevelopment and infrastructure projects now faced enormous pressure. Mayor Sarah Thompson and her advisors held emergency meetings to discuss how to respond. Marcus's withdrawal not only threatened ongoing projects, but also eroded public trust in the administration. In the meeting, one of the advisors suggested, "Madam Mayor, perhaps we need to seriously consider Mr. Williams's reform demands. If not, the risk could be much greater, especially since public opinion is on his side." Mayor Thompson nodded, the tension visible in her eyes. "Yes, but we also cannot let him manipulate the city. Accepting these demands means we'll have to carry out extensive reforms, which will undoubtedly face opposition from within and from conservative forces." Meanwhile, in his office, Marcus and his team of advisors were working tirelessly. Rachel reported that other investors, from small businesses to funders, had begun to show support for Marcus's plan. They also agreed to withdraw investments from city projects if no positive action was taken. Adam completed the reform demand list Marcus wanted to present, including points like racial sensitivity training for police, establishing an independent oversight board to review police misconduct complaints, and implementing tracking technology to increase transparency. Marcus decided to make this list public at a large press conference downtown, where reporters, activists, and citizens were all present. As he stepped up to the podium, Marcus looked around and saw many familiar faces, colleagues, partners, and city residents he had helped over the years. He felt the trust and hope in their eyes, which only strengthened his resolve. "This is not just a personal issue for me," Marcus began, his voice ringing out firmly. "This is an issue for all of us, a challenge that so many in the community have faced for years. No one should feel unsafe or be treated unjustly because of the color of their skin. We need to reform this system to protect everyone's rights, from adults to children, from the wealthy to the impoverished." Marcus's speech quickly resonated, sparking an enthusiastic response. The crowd cheered loudly, and soon social media was flooded with messages supporting him. Those attending the press conference shared videos and quotes from Marcus, rallying for support and unity toward a fairer city. Civil rights organizations and NGOs launched support campaigns, further increasing pressure on the administration. Meanwhile, the police department wasn't immune to the upheaval. Many officers felt uneasy about the demands for reform, especially those who aligned with Jack Roberts' views. They saw Marcus's actions as a threat to the power and autonomy of the police force. However, some, particularly younger officers, understood and supported his goal. Debates erupted, splitting the department into two opposing camps. Under pressure from both the community and investors withdrawing in large numbers, Mayor Thompson finally agreed to meet Marcus. The meeting was arranged in secret, away from the media's eye, but Marcus knew it was a major step forward. As he entered the meeting room with the mayor, Marcus calmly presented his reasons why the reforms he was asking for were not only necessary but urgent for the sake of justice for all city residents. "Madam Mayor," Marcus spoke with conviction, "I am not asking for these changes for myself alone. This is to ensure that no one in this city has to endure the pain and injustice that my daughter and I have experienced." Mayor Thompson listened intently. Marcus's arguments, combined with public pressure, made her reconsider. Although she knew these changes could provoke a strong reaction from some factions, she realized the city couldn't continue without the trust of its community. At the end of the meeting, the mayor promised to review the reform demands and to make a decision as soon as possible. The prospect of change had become real, and Marcus knew that despite the challenges ahead, he had taken an important step toward justice for his community. However, Marcus was aware that relying solely on government promises was insufficient. He needed a long-term technological solution to ensure transparency and accountability in the police force, a system that would allow citizens to report any incidents without fear of being ignored or covered up. After days of meetings with his advisory team, Marcus and his tech experts began planning the development of a unique mobile application. This app would allow citizens to quickly document and report incidents of misconduct or discrimination on the spot, with video, audio, and written reports. The system would automatically record the time and GPS location, ensuring that all evidence was authentic and clear. It also included an option for anonymous reporting to protect identities if users felt unsafe going public. Marcus shared this idea with Rachel and Adam, both of whom were excited and agreed this would be groundbreaking. Rachel remarked, "This app isn't just a tool to protect people. It's a voice for those who have faced injustice without a way to defend themselves. This could be the key to a more transparent and fair system." Adam, with his legal expertise, got deeply involved in ensuring the app complied with privacy regulations and legal standards. He advised Marcus, "We need a mechanism to verify the accuracy of reports to avoid false or misleading claims. But at the same time, the app must ensure user safety and be accessible to everyone, regardless of age or tech experience." Guided by expert input, Marcus built the app with two main features: reporting police misconduct and recognizing positive police behavior. This approach helped avoid a sense of opposition that some officers might feel, emphasizing that it was a tool to promote accountability and mutual respect between the police and the public. After months of development and testing, Marcus decided to launch the app at a large press conference, attracting a diverse crowd of journalists and social advocates. Standing at the podium, Marcus looked around and saw people from all walks of life: business people, teachers, students, and civil rights activists. He felt the hope in their eyes, knowing they too shared a dream of a more just society. Holding the phone with the Ready app, Marcus announced, "This app is not just a reporting tool. It's a symbol of transparency and accountability. It will be the eyes and ears of our community so that no one has to face injustice in silence. This app is not created to attack the police, but to build trust and protect the rights of everyone." His speech was met with enthusiastic applause from the audience. After Marcus finished, many people downloaded the app immediately, and social media filled with photos and videos from the app launch event. Civil rights organizations and human rights activists hailed Marcus's app as a major step forward in the fight against injustice and for protecting citizens' rights. However, not everyone welcomed the app. While Marcus received significant public support in the police department, many officers expressed concern and even opposed the new app. A small group, particularly those close to Jack Roberts, felt threatened by the app's public scrutiny. They saw it as a tool against the police, fearing it would make them feel constantly monitored, hindering them from doing their work freely. These negative reactions didn't deter Marcus. He believed in the app's importance and knew that big changes always needed time to be accepted. He took time to answer interviews on television and news outlets, explaining the app's purpose and stressing that his goal was to promote transparency and build trust, not create opposition with the police force. Marcus also invited the police department to participate in using the app as a tool to improve their public image. He suggested that officers could record positive actions and openly share their good interactions with the community. Through this, the app would not only document wrongdoings, but also reflect the good efforts of the police force. In the following weeks, Marcus's app quickly gained traction in the community. People used it to report not only incidents involving the police, but also issues of security and public order, like littering, dangerous traffic situations, and neighborhood problems. These reports helped raise community awareness and provided valuable information to improve residents' safety and quality of life. These positive results gradually shifted the perspective of many in the police force. Some younger officers, initially hesitant, began to see the value of the app in improving the relationship between police and community. They saw that transparency was not an enemy, but a bridge to build respect and trust with citizens. For Marcus, the early success of the app was a powerful motivation to continue fighting for transparency and justice. Yet he understood this was only the beginning. He knew that challenges and resistance still lay ahead, especially from those who felt their power was threatened by the change. Marcus and his team prepared for the trials ahead as they continued to push for reforms and a fairer society. However, not long after, a wave of strong opposition arose from within the police force, particularly from officers who felt their power threatened by Marcus's new app. Jack Roberts, who had been suspended following his incident with Marcus, continued to harbor resentment and quietly built a network of support within the police to oppose the app. Jack and some colleagues started holding secret meetings in discreet cafes or private homes to avoid attention. They planned to push back against the app's impact by arguing that it weakened the police force and made officers feel constantly surveilled. Jack, now losing patience, emphasized that the app would cause chaos and obstruct police work. In a closed meeting, Jack stood before the officers who shared his views, declaring, "We can't let someone like Marcus Williams dictate how we do our jobs. This app is nothing but an anti-police tool. It will turn every citizen into an untrained supervisor, undermining all our efforts." Some officers listened, agreeing with Jack and feeling frustrated. One of them spoke up, "But Jack, what can we do? The government and the community both seem to side with Marcus. We no longer have the voice we once did." Jack thought for a moment, then declared decisively, "We're going to sue him." Jack's plan was to file a lawsuit against Marcus and his app, arguing that it invaded police privacy and created a hostile work environment. Jack believed that if the lawsuit proceeded, it would not only weaken the app, but might also make the government and public question Marcus's intentions. Soon after the lawsuit was filed in court, Jack and several other officers claimed that Marcus's app was a harassment tool, making them constantly fearful and unable to work effectively. The lawsuit argued that the app created an unsafe environment for officers, that they had the right not to be monitored while on duty. They demanded the court suspend the app's operation immediately and compensate them for the emotional distress they had suffered. News of the lawsuit spread quickly, sparking public reactions. Some people worried that this lawsuit could impact Marcus's reform efforts. On social media, public opinion was divided. One side argued that the app was necessary for transparency and protecting citizens' rights, while the other sided with the police, claiming that the app would make their work harder. Marcus was unsurprised by Jack's response and the like-minded officers, but he still felt disappointed. Nonetheless, he decided not to let the lawsuit hinder his efforts. With Adam and Rachel by his side, Marcus focused on preparing for the legal battle ahead. Adam, with his extensive legal experience, was confident they had a solid basis to defend the app and affirmed that it fully complied with existing legal regulations. "We will prove that the app doesn't infringe any of their rights," Adam declared to Marcus and Rachel in a closed meeting. "This app is simply a tool to promote transparency. If they have nothing to hide, then there's no reason to fear it." To counter public pressure, Marcus decided to hold a press conference where he could directly explain and defend the app's purpose. At the press conference, before dozens of reporters and cameras, Marcus spoke calmly yet powerfully. "This app is not a tool against the police. It's a tool to build trust between the police and the community. When transparency exists, everyone will understand and respect each other's work more. If there's nothing to hide, then transparency shouldn't be an issue." Marcus's speech was broadcast live, and his words quickly spread across social media. Thousands of people shared the video, expressing support for him. Those who supported Marcus believed that transparency was the key to building a fairer system, where everyone is protected and treated fairly. However, the lawsuit's impact was still significant. Jack and his team continued to hold secret meetings, attempting to spread misinformation about the app, to foster doubt within the community. Anonymous accounts on social media posted claims that the app could be used for wrongful surveillance, potentially endangering police officers. These allegations caused some community members to feel uncertain and worried. With rumors and misunderstandings growing, Marcus and his team decided to launch a media campaign to clarify the app's purpose. Rachel collaborated with social organizations to share stories about how the app had helped protect the community and enhance safety. Meanwhile, Adam organized meetings with police officers to discuss the app's benefits, explaining that it would help them improve their relationship with the community. Though the lawsuit and some police opposition posed significant challenges, Marcus remained steadfast in his goal. He believed that the current efforts not only protected individual rights, but also created a legacy for the community. He wanted this battle to be more than just a lawsuit. He wanted it to become a movement to change how citizens and police interact. Challenges and intense opposition from the police didn't deter Marcus. Instead, they strengthened his resolve to make a real difference in the community. The day of the trial for Jack Roberts and the group of officers against Marcus's app finally arrived. For many, this wasn't just a simple lawsuit, but a confrontation between power and transparency, between those demanding fairness and those keen to protect their authority. The courtroom was packed with people, from reporters and social activists to ordinary citizens who wanted to witness this pivotal event. Both Marcus and Jack were present, seated on opposing sides of the courtroom. The atmosphere was tense and heavy, as everyone sensed that the trial's outcome would impact the city's future course. The prosecution, representing Jack and the officers, argued that Marcus's app was a tool of pressure, constantly making officers fear they were being watched and preventing them from working effectively. They claimed it created a hostile and unsafe environment for police officers and violated their privacy rights while on duty. Jack's lawyer insisted that if the court didn't suspend the app, more officers would refuse to work due to the fear of being monitored and unfairly evaluated. When it was the defense's turn, Adam stood up to represent Marcus and his team. With confidence and sharp arguments, Adam countered each of the prosecution's points. He argued that the app didn't invade police privacy, but merely recorded actions that happened in public spaces, where the public had a right to know. He emphasized that the app wasn't a tool to attack the police, but one to protect the rights of both citizens and officers, encouraging transparency and accountability. "Your Honor," Adam declared firmly, "this app isn't meant to weaken the police force, but to help them improve their relationship with the community. If there's nothing to hide, then transparency will only build trust. And if recording interactions with the community makes them uneasy, that's a clear sign of the need for this app." During the trial, an unexpected event occurred. A group of former police officers and staff from the department appeared as witnesses. These brave whistleblowers brought with them numerous documents and evidence of Jack Roberts' misconduct. Among them was Sarah Johnson, a former officer who had resigned due to her inability to withstand the pressure of covering up Jack's wrongdoing. Sarah took the witness stand, her voice trembling but her gaze steady, recounting the instances of abuse of power she had witnessed while working under Jack. "I can't stay silent any longer," Sarah said, looking directly at Jack. "He not only abused his power, but also frequently engaged in discriminatory behavior, especially against people of color. Many incidents were hidden and even legitimized by those higher up." A heavy silence filled the courtroom as Sarah revealed each disturbing truth she had witnessed. Altered reports, buried complaints, and instances where Jack used unnecessary force were all exposed through her testimony and the documents she had brought. These pieces of evidence revealed a cover-up system within the police force, allowing people like Jack to escape responsibility despite their unethical actions. The tension in the courtroom reached a peak. Jack sat motionless, his face stiff, unable to hide his confusion and anxiety. His colleagues and fellow officers seated behind him, initially showing support, now sat quietly, avoiding eye contact with Marcus and the whistleblowers. Sarah's testimony caused a shock not only to those present in the courtroom, but to the broader community outside. Reporters immediately published updates, and social media was flooded with posts about the newly uncovered truth. Many who had been skeptical of Marcus's app began to understand its deeper purpose, a tool to expose hidden truths and prevent abuses that many had silently endured. After the witnesses finished their testimonies, Marcus, with a calm but determined look in his eyes, stood up to speak. He looked around the courtroom, his gaze resting on each person before he spoke. "What we've just heard is proof of why transparency is necessary. This app isn't a threat. It's an opportunity to correct our mistakes, to rebuild trust between the people and those sworn to protect them. At the end of the trial, the judge announced that the court needed more time to review all the evidence before making a final decision. However, with everything that had been revealed, the atmosphere in the courtroom and across the media had shifted strongly in Marcus's favor. For many, this truth not only validated the need for the app, but also sparked a broader discussion about accountability and transparency within the police force. With these dark secrets now exposed, Marcus found himself at a decisive moment in the fight for justice and transparency. Following the groundbreaking trial, media reports and social media posts continued to circulate, increasing the pressure on the local government and police department. With no other choice, the police department had to accept that change was inevitable. A broad reform was officially launched to rebuild public trust and ensure that past mistakes wouldn't be repeated. Police Chief Elena Martinez, who had witnessed the public's outrage, held a press conference to announce the department's changes. She declared that from now on, all officers would be required to wear body cameras to record all interactions with the public, ensuring transparency in all situations. Additionally, a civilian oversight board would be established, allowing citizens the right to oversee and review complaints related to police conduct. "We failed to protect the public's trust," Martinez admitted at the press conference. "But this is an opportunity for us to start over, to create a police force that people can trust. We will strive not only to improve ourselves, but to maintain a system that's transparent and accountable." Watching the press conference from his office, Marcus felt a sense of relief, but knew this was only the beginning. He and his team continued to support the reform process by advising and working closely with city leaders to help implement new policies and training programs. Rachel and Adam joined in, working tirelessly to ensure these reforms weren't just cosmetic, but had a meaningful impact on the community. Marcus's reporting app, protected and validated by the court, quickly became a vital tool in the reform movement. Citizens used the app not only to report police misconduct, but also to share positive interactions, recognizing officers who showed dedication and respect toward the community. The app thus became not only a monitoring system, but also a means of encouraging positive behaviors, building mutual trust between the police and the public. Within the police department, the atmosphere began to shift as the reforms took effect. Initially, many officers felt uneasy and even opposed the new policies. They feared that constant monitoring would make their jobs stressful and restrictive. But as time passed, they began to see that transparency wasn't an enemy. Officers, particularly the younger generation, recognized that these measures protected them from false accusations and helped them build a more professional image in the community's eyes. One young officer, David Lopez, shared with his colleagues during a break, "At first, I didn't like the idea either, but it actually gives us more fairness. We don't have to worry about being falsely accused when everything is recorded. Some people even thanked me through the app for helping them." The department didn't stop there, implementing cultural sensitivity and community engagement training programs. These courses helped officers better understand the social circumstances and cultural differences, enabling them to handle situations more effectively and reduce misunderstandings. The training sessions also gave police a clearer sense of responsibility and the importance of their role in protecting and serving the community fairly. Thanks to these reforms, the community began to see positive changes. Surveys showed that public trust in the police gradually increased, particularly in areas with a history of tension. Residents felt safer and more heard, knowing there was a reliable oversight system protecting their rights. One evening, Marcus attended a community meeting to hear feedback from residents about the app and recent reforms. Many people shared stories about the changes they felt. An elderly woman, Rosa, spoke emotionally. "I've lived here all my life, and I've never seen the police actually listen to us like they do now. This app has made me feel safer, and I also feel closer to the police." Marcus sat there listening, filled with pride. His efforts, along with the support of his team and community, hadn't been in vain. Rosa's words and others reassured him that he was on the right path, that the fight he initiated was not only creating positive impacts, but also inspiring profound changes in the entire system. A spirit of harmony and trust began to rebuild. Officers who had once criticized Marcus now started to reconsider their views. They saw that building trust with the community didn't just make their jobs safer, it also earned them respect. Officers like David Lopez, who had once been skeptical, now felt proud to see the relationship between the police and the public improving. In that moment, Marcus understood that his journey was far from over. These reforms were only the first step in a long process of maintaining and developing a fairer system. He and his team continued working, constantly considering new ways to strengthen transparency and protect the community's rights. Despite the challenges ahead, Marcus felt the community's support and his own conviction would provide the strength to continue this journey. The changes Marcus and his team had fought for now created a ripple effect beyond their city. Thanks to the app's success, other cities began to take notice of the model Marcus had built, aiming to adopt it within their local police systems. The app's transparency-driven reforms inspired communities nationwide. Leaders from major cities like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles reached out to Marcus, eager to learn how the app could help build trust between the police and their citizens. Meetings, seminars, and talks followed, with Marcus now becoming a symbol of positive change, a person who had courageously confronted the system and achieved genuine reform. Marcus's app continued to evolve. With feedback from the community, he added new features, enabling users to report other emergencies like traffic safety, living conditions, and potential threats in the area. Citizens' contributions made the app more valuable and fostered a sense of unity, creating a system where everyone shared responsibility and benefits. On a beautiful day, the city held a grand ceremony to honor Marcus and his team for their significant contributions to community security and rights protection. The hall was filled with people, social activists, community leaders, and police officers, all gathered to show their gratitude toward Marcus. A large sign on stage read, "Honoring the Pioneers for Justice and Change," glowing under the lights. Mayor Sarah Thompson took the stage, standing before the crowd with a microphone in hand. "Today, we honor someone who stood up not just for himself, but for an entire community. Marcus Williams showed us that an individual can make a massive difference, and that when we bravely confront injustice, we can change an entire system." The room erupted in applause as Marcus walked onto the stage. Looking at familiar faces, those who had journeyed with him through this challenging path, Marcus felt the strength of unity and belief. He took the microphone, his voice warm yet filled with emotion. "When I began this journey," Marcus said, "I never knew it would go this far. I only knew I couldn't stay silent in the face of injustice, and that everyone deserves protection, respect, and fair treatment. We started with one small step, and now I see a strong, united community ready to change." Marcus looked down, his gaze resting on his young daughter Ellie, who gazed up at him with admiration. Pride filled him as he recalled the challenges he and his daughter had faced, leading them to this hopeful new chapter. He continued, "I want to thank each of you, those who stood by me, those who supported reform, and even the police officers who embraced transparency. We haven't just changed this city, we're leaving a legacy for future generations, ensuring they won't face the prejudices and injustices we've overcome." The applause echoed throughout the hall. In that moment, Marcus felt a peace and fulfillment he had never known. His efforts and the relentless dedication of his team had built a city where everyone's rights were protected, where transparency and accountability became the new standards. After the ceremony, Marcus stepped down from the stage, surrounded by friends, colleagues, and the police officers who had become his allies. Many shook his hand, offering sincere congratulations. Among them was David Lopez, the young officer who had once doubted reform, but now viewed it as a valuable tool for himself and his colleagues. "Thank you, Marcus," David said with a smile. "You've shown us that transparency isn't a threat. It's how we build trust and truly become protectors of the community." Marcus smiled back, deeply moved by David's words. The journey he had begun with a minor incident outside a hotel had become a movement, changing not only his life, but transforming the city itself. Finally, standing in the warm and crowded hall, Marcus looked back on the journey and saw clearly, change, even if it starts with a small step, can create unstoppable waves. He believed this was only the beginning of a new future, a future where fairness, transparency, and respect always come first. The story ends with Marcus, standing amid his community in a moment of unity and faith in the future. He knew his legacy would live on, not only as a technological tool, but as a shining example that when we bravely confront injustice, anyone can create change. Marcus's story is not only a personal journey, but also proof of the power of unity and courage in the face of injustice. His unwavering efforts have shown that anyone, regardless of the challenges they face, can make a difference and inspire their community. Marcus turned pain into action, persistence into hope for future generations, paving the way for a system where fairness, transparency, and respect are paramount. This story reminds us that sometimes a single act of courage can ignite a powerful wave of change. Each of us has the potential to be a source of strength and motivation for positive transformation in society. If you feel inspired and want to see more meaningful stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Let's continue to spread positive messages and build a better community together.